Hey there, welcome back to another video. This week I had the opportunity to spend time with one of the cars I was most excited about for 2023, the GR Corolla. Were my expectations fulfilled? Yes, but that doesn't mean this car is absolute perfection, even though it is quite amazing. In this video, we're going to cover everything that I like and dislike about the GR Corolla, including some of the changes that they made for 2024, which actually address several minor gripes that I have about this particular car. So starting out this video with my likes, my first like about the GR Corolla is the overall size. Now, full disclosure, I myself drive a compact hatchback, very similar in size, just a tad larger than this particular vehicle. And even I was disappointed when it was announced that we were not getting the GR Yaris that they currently get overseas. But after living with the GR Corolla for nearly a week, I now understand that this was the right size for North America. This car is still very much smaller than my personal hatchback, the Elantra GT N line, but it's large enough to be a fairly practical car for a single person or a couple with a couple extra seats or storage capacity in the back in a pinch. Now, the hatch itself provides a little additional storage too, and the overall footprint of the car allows it to stay light and nimble, which is one of the core principles and adds to the overall performance of the GR Corolla. Now, my next like about the GR Corolla has to do with its overall performance. Now, one of the key aspects of this performance is the turbocharged 3-cylinder. Yes, I said 3-cylinder, and this car makes 100 horsepower per cylinder. Now, this puts out 300 horsepower and 279 pound-feet of torque through all four wheels via an all-wheel drive system and dual limited slip differentials if you opt for the performance package here on this core trim, and that comes standard, of course, on the Circuit as well as the Morizo editions. But when you combine the overall performance from the turbocharged 3-cylinder engine, the dual limited slip differentials, the all-wheel drive, bias control, drive mode selection, manual transmission, the Michelin summer tires, etc., these all make this car extremely fun to hustle around on the street, and I imagine on the track as well. Now, with that 300 horsepower 3-cylinder turbo, this car can accelerate 0 to 60 in the sub 5-second range under ideal conditions. And even if you aren't the most skilled heel-toe downshifter for manual transmissions like myself, the IMT, or Intelligent Manual Transmission button on the inside, allows for perfectly rev-matched downshifts with absolute ease. Now, overall, this vehicle just puts an absolute smile on your face, is a blast to drive, and even if it isn't the top-tier performance in the sport compact hatch segment, it certainly puts up a fight, and the value for the dollar is quite high. Now, moving on, my third like about the GR Corolla is the overall feature set that it has offered, not only on the performance side of things, but also here on the inside with all of the creature comforts. Now, this car that I'm driving is a 2023 Core with all three available option packages, the performance, technology, and cold weather packages. For 2024, Toyota only decided to offer the performance package on the Core moving forward and have introduced a new premium trim which takes the place of this car that I'm driving, but adds even more equipment to the equation, including new seating surfaces, front and rear parking sensors, and of course all of the additional minor tweaks that they made to the chassis and slight improvements to aerodynamics. But when you start to look at the standard feature set, including the Toyota Safety Sense 3.0 with adaptive cruise control, the heated steering wheel, heated front seats, automatic single zone climate control, the infotainment system with the fully digital gauge cluster, the JBL premium audio system, and all of the mechanical performance aspects of this vehicle, it really does have a lot of nice amenities here on the interior, and is certainly a vehicle that you can drive year-round, throw a different set of tires on in the winter, and really you shouldn't have a problem with the all-wheel drive system navigating snow and ice with a good set of winter tires. So outside of that aspect, it really does have a lot of nice amenities that you can live with on a day-to-day basis. Now, speaking about some of those features here on the inside, another thing I like about them is that they are maintained through ignition cycles. Now, this might not be a GR Corolla specific thing. It may be a Corolla or just Toyota and some of their models specific. But anyways, taking a look at the heated steering wheel button here on the left side of the steering wheel, you can see that it is depressed and stays depressed unless you press it once again. So pressing it, it pops back out, and then pressing it in again, it is maintained, which means it will automatically turn on between ignition cycles as long as the button is depressed. Now, similarly, this is true for the heated seats up here as well. You simply press it down, there's a nice satisfying click into place, and that will stay exactly where you set it until you turn it off the next time. So as a whole, I think that makes these features and the car even more livable on a day-to-day basis, especially if you live in a colder climate where you plan to drive this car year-round. Now, another quick thing that I do like here on the outside has to do with Toyota's keyless access system. I've mentioned this in some of my other videos on Toyota and Lexus products, but again, their door handles work very well, and the touch-sensitive button indicator indicated by these two two lines works very well. You can simply tap that with just the lightest of touch and it will recognize that you do indeed want to lock the vehicle from the outside. So simply press it just once very quickly. Vehicle beeps, lights flash, and it is locked. Then you can go ahead and touch the back of the door handle, opens right up, and is much better than some of the other manufacturers out there, which simply can't get the touchpads to work on a more sensitive basis. Now finally, my last like has to do with the overall basic and simplistic interior. Now I know this is kind of a sore point even for myself at nearly $40,000 as this car is equipped. You're getting basic cloth seats, a lot of hard touch materials on the door panels. You have some nice soft touch materials on the dash, which is a nice bonus. But for 2024, Toyota did resolve this in some regard. On the new premium trim, they actually added new seating materials with suede inserts and some leatherette accents on the outside, and the door panels themselves have soft touch materials with kind of accent stitching, which certainly makes this interior quite premium. But even here in this 2023 Core with the more basic version of the interior, simplistic interior, which adds to the overall kind of experience that you're getting with an all-wheel drive hot hatch like this. But at the same time, it should be very easy to maintain if you're using this on a day-to-day basis. Either have maybe a small family or just, do a lot of things inside of your car. All of these materials, for the most part, minus maybe the cloth seats, should hold up very well over time and should be very easy to wipe down and clean. So from a simplicity standpoint, I really appreciate what Toyota did. I think for 2024, they made the premium trim or the equivalent to this vehicle that I'm sitting in even better in terms of the materials, and overall comfort is good as well. So really not too much to complain, but that is one of the aspects that I really did enjoy as well. So that is going to be my list of likes for the GR Corolla. Now let's move on to my list of dislikes. Now my first dislike here on the interior is the infotainment screen. Now technically it is 8-inch in size according to Toyota, but honestly it seems a little bit smaller than this. Even with your face only a couple feet away, it just seems overly small. I'm not sure exactly what it is about it, but to me it just looks like a little bit smaller than 8 inches. Now I know this is a fairly minor complaint that could be resolved via a new screen or via a refresh, but it would be nice to see a slightly larger screen here, maybe a little bit wider aspect ratio as well, just to help keep it below your line of sight over the dashboard to the front of the vehicle out the windshield. Now my second dislike has to do with the fact that the IMT or intelligent manual transmission button just to the left of the steering wheel is not maintained between ignition cycles. So this means essentially if you start up the vehicle every time, you do have to press that button to use the rev match downshift functionality and some of the other functions of that button. And out of all the other maintained buttons such as the heated steering wheel and the heated front seats, it would be nice to see this added to the list. Now I can't necessarily blame Toyota for this because other manufacturers do this as well. But to me, using this vehicle, I do turn it on every time I turn on the vehicle and drive here with the manual transmission, just because I am not a professional. I cannot heel-toe downshift incredibly well, and overall that allows me to drive this vehicle in a much more smooth manner. So I would like to see that, if possible, added to a maintained switch button. But overall, the function of the button does work quite well. It allows for pretty seamless downshifts between gears and adds to the overall drivability. Now moving on to number 3, that is the fact that the door controls here on the driver's side are not fully illuminated at night. Now believe it or not, Toyota actually skimped out and cheaped out on this and only illuminated the driver's side window as well as the mirror controls up top. The lock buttons as well as all the rest of the windows are not illuminated. Now I know this is somewhat of a nitpick item, again considering the kind of segment that this car resides in, but to me that is a very cheap aspect that they can resolve either in the mid-model year or just between model years. Add illumination to all of the switch gear and just make it easier to use at night, because immediately when I drove this vehicle for the first time, I noticed that the lock and unlock controls, the window lockout, and all of the rest of the windows simply do not have any illumination. Now, of course, over time you will get used to exactly where these buttons are located and usability and stuff like that, but it would be nice to just see these illuminated just to make the experience a little bit more premium. Now, number 4 has to do with the fact that there is simply no center armrest or no center console here in the GR Corolla. Now, you do have 2 integrated cup holders, of course, your manual e-brake, as well as a little kind of storage slot, USB, and a 12-volt outlet back there. but that is pretty much it, and there's nowhere really to rest your arms. Now, after driving a manual transmission, I understand this is not a high priority as resting your arms, as you are constantly using the transmission. But say you go on a road trip using the driver or Toyota Safety Sense 3.0 with adaptive cruise control and lane centering, to me, you aren't really shifting at that point. You're maintaining a relatively steady speed, and I would like to rest my arm on something. So if this is a daily driver for you that you commute frequently on the interstate, just note that there is not a center armrest available. Now, it would be nice to see Toyota add that at some point, either a simple flip down armrest on the side of the centers of the seats or an actual center console with a little lid that you can maybe add a little bit of additional storage space inside. But really kind of a nitpick thing again, but I would like to see it in a daily driver like this, a padded center armrest. Now, the last item I came up with here on the inside in my total list of dislikes is the fact that the seat belt here on the driver's side, because of where my seat is adjusted, gets caught between the B-pillar trim and the side of the seat itself. So every time I get in this vehicle and want to grab the seat belt, it simply gets caught between the plastic and the seat itself. So you can kind of see there's a little indentation here for the seat belt to kind of slide between or something like that. But you can see it rubs against the plastic, makes kind of a scratchy, noisy sound, but also gets caught depending on, where the vehicle is parked and how far back the seat belt does retract. Again, a very minor nitpicks thing, but typically, 9 times out of 10 when I'm driving this vehicle, the seat belt does kind of get caught there. And it's just a slight frustration that when you're ready to get in your vehicle and take off immediately, you're kind of fumbling around with the seatbelt and trying to just put it on. So again, very minor nitpick thing, but maybe they could revise this somehow, add a little holder so it kind of presents itself a little bit easier and easier to grab. But again, that is kind of where my seat is set to and my overall driving position. So honestly, that's going to do it and wrap up my list of likes and dislikes here with the 2023 Corolla GR Core with all 3 option packages. Overall, I think this is a fantastic car to live with on a day-to-day basis and has pretty much met every expectation I had in terms of driving performance, the interior quality, the amenities that it has to offer, including the driver assistance technologies, the stereo, wireless charging pad, the wireless Android Auto Apple CarPlay integration, and really stuff like that. It does have Toyota's latest infotainment system, albeit on the smaller infotainment screen, but works quite well, very similar to that of other models. And really, as you can see, me sitting in the back seat behind my driving position, I actually have a good amount of legroom. I would say, 3-4 inches. I am about 5'9". I do sit fairly close to the actual steering wheel and the pedals themselves, just so I can depress the clutch pedal all the way. But really, it's not a terrible vehicle to live with on a day-to-day basis, and I would actually certainly recommend anybody that is interested in a compact hatchback or just the GR Corolla in general to strongly take a look at one, see if there's one you by chance can test drive, see if it meets your needs and expectations, and hopefully buy for at MSRP or less at some point as these become more available on dealership lots. I know that's a tough ask. These are a relatively low volume vehicle in general, but at some point I'm pretty sure you can get these at MSRP. You just have to maybe wait for one, be put on a wait list, and hopefully get the exact color and trim configuration that you're looking for. And I think the changes that they made for 2024 make this even a better value and a better buy, specifically in the premium trim at right around $41,000, depending on the additional accessories and the exterior color that you choose. Now, with all that being said, I want to give a huge thanks to Toyota and Jennifer specifically for sending this vehicle out for me to test and review. This is definitely a bucket list vehicle that I wanted to drive in this calendar year, and that actually was made happen, albeit a little bit later after the release with the second model year just around the corner. But overall, this is still a fantastic opportunity. I'm super thankful for them for sending it out and you guys for supporting and watching these videos. Without you guys, I probably wouldn't have all these opportunities, and I really do appreciate the support here on the channel and you guys watching these videos. Now, with that being said, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What do you think of my likes and dislikes? Is there anything that you want to add to this list? And if you also have just a regular Corolla hatchback, a lot of these items, minus the performance and GR specific bits, should apply to your vehicle as well. So you can get a regular Corolla hatchback, which is a very, Usable daily driver, has a lot of nice technologies for substantially cheaper than the GR version if that's what you're looking for. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below. And as always, I hope to see you guys in the next one.